People, we're back in Portsmouth, and this week we've got Terence, the Pompey TikToker.
Terence, born and bred, 15 years management experience within hospitality. Got to COVID when I reassessed my life, like everybody else did. And during that point, I decided it was time to give up working 90, 100-hour weeks in hospitality. And then when I went from doing 8 till 4:30, I was like, what, I get evenings? Like, what's weekends? You're having a laugh. Video was such a huge thing. So I thought, well, I have to do video now. I have to get on TikTok and I have to start promoting the services and what we do. So I did that. I was so bored about talking about the business stuff. Even I was bored watching it. I just thought, okay, you know what? I know what I do out there. I know what I do in the community. I'm just going to shout about that because it's quite easy. I can talk about that all day long and it can be passionate, it can be real, it can be authentic. Don't just post for the sake of it. And think of your why. Why are you posting? The reason I do what I do on socials is because I want to promote the city. I want Portsmouth to do better. The better Portsmouth does, the better it is for all of us.
Cool. Terence, welcome to the show, mate.
I feel very privileged. Very privileged. I love your show. I think it's great.
Thanks, man. Honestly, it means a lot coming from you. And thank you for obviously loving the show. Thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot.
Honestly, I think what you do is amazing. What you're showcasing bits of the city, charities, organisations that don't usually have so much presence. I think what you're doing is great and I love it.
Amazing. So.
That's it. Done.
Alright, cut, Leslie. Alright, yes, so welcome to What's Going On show. The show where we shine the light on people doing things in communities and you yourself are vouching for this Pompey community.
I'm trying. I'm doing what I can.
And yeah, we'll go a bit into that today. And but first things first, a little tradition I've got on this show is instead of me giving you an introduction, I like to give it straight over to you. So, who in a nutshell is Terence Carvalho?
Just an absolute legend, I think. Cut. There's going to be a few moments like that. So, job-wise, I am Chief Operating Officer of Delivered Social, which we're here in Aspects Gallery in Gunwharf Quays. We're a digital marketing agency, but if you're asking me who I am, Terence, born and bred, 15 years management experience within hospitality. Got to COVID when I reassessed my life, like everybody else did. And during that point when I was furloughed from my final position, which was Beckett's in Southsea, I was working at the COVID test centre. I was asked by Portsmouth City Council to get involved, help managing the test centre there. And during that point, I decided it was time to give up working 90, 100-hour weeks in hospitality. So I'm very fortunate, was offered a position at Delivered Social, who at that point were going from Guildford and expanding into Portsmouth. I came on board. And the other bits that I sort of do are the Portsmouth Ambassador stuff with Shaping Portsmouth, trying to volunteer as much as I can with the time that I have and trying to shout about as much as I can within the city to try and promote it and showcase just how amazing this city is.
Okay.
That's probably about it.
Interesting. Okay, so that seems like you do a fair amount. You do a fair amount. That's quite cool. I mean, some people, you ask them what do, they say, nothing really. So, okay, cool. So you used to work at Beckett's. Let's take us right back then. So, obviously you're dubbed as the Pompey TikToker, but are you from Pompey?
I am Portsmouth born and bred.
Okay.
Portsmouth born and bred. Never known anything different. Always lived here. My dad was in the Navy for 27 years, so there are roots here. Portsmouth is a part of me, and it always will be. So that has always been a part of what I do and why I shout about Portsmouth, because I feel like I can. I grew up my young years in Somerstown. That was fun experience. Only till about 4 or 5. Moved to North End I actually went to the same primary school as Steve Pitt, which I didn't realise till I watched your episode with Steve Pitt. We went to the same primary school, so I can't wait to tell him about that. And then in my young years moved back down to Southsea. So I'm not going to say that I know every area very well because I know there's so many different communities, but I like to think that I can have a voice for certain people within the city.
So you grew up in Somerstown, you moved up to North End, came back down to Southsea. Now, where's been your favourite place to live then?
Southsea is probably where life really is, and it always has been probably since a young adult age. I worked at the King's Theatre for 5.5 years. So that was always part of the community. Got really into the Albert Road scene there, not just getting pissed, I swear, but also knowing some of the traders down there. And I learnt a lot actually about the Southsea community when I was at the King's Theatre, because in 2001 the King's Theatre almost closed down, became a Wetherspoons pub. It was the people of Portsmouth and also the people of Albert Road and Albert Road Traders Association which saved that theatre. There's a reason why we don't have a Wetherspoons pub on Albert Road. It's because they want the Kings. So it will never happen. Touch wood. But, you know, it's incredible. You learn to become part of those communities. The Phoenix pub, which is around the corner, that's where we used to take the cast and crew for drinks afterwards. And, you know, that's still a pub that I go into now. And, you know, they've got memorabilia from everything to do with the Kings there. So that's probably where my main life is really. And it's quite easy in Southsea, just walk up. You don't need to plan anything. You just rock up and suddenly there's a kite festival going on, a food festival, or the Thai festival, or Victorious. There's always something going on. And there's always stuff going on in the north of the city, but I feel like in South it's just easy. Just walk out your door and you'll just find something.
I hear that. I do hear that. That's interesting about the King's Theatre though. I didn't know that. It's very interesting. It's not Wetherspoons on Albert Road. Oh God.
There never will be.
Gosh, I hope not. So, okay, great. So, I always find that the north of the city is more residential. I always find that I was there today, and there's not a lot of shops. There's not a lot going on. There's just, it could be the dead part of town, but that's coming from someone who lives in Southsea, who comes from London. So.
Well, there's some good things happening. Hillsey Lido, obviously getting redone now, so that's been a long time coming. You've got the Casemate Studios, which is amazing. I visited that a couple of years ago. There are stuff in the north of the city. I just think we're probably a little bit better at shouting about them in the south, because the south gets all the attention because of the Common and all the events that are going on. The Ocean Race, of course, it's down here. Yeah, all the festivals we've spoken about, it's all down here. The food festivals all down here. So if Southsea does get most of the attention, but equally, it does get most of the tourism as well, because of the Dockyard and Mary Rose and all these incredible places. So it's tough, but there are other stuffs going on, and you know there are community groups doing a whole load of stuff across the city, not just in Southsea.
There are. So you're speaking about it there, like there's a lot going on now in the city, but what era did you grow up in, and was there a lot going on then?
So I grew up in the 90s, so 24/7, 1990, put in your diaries. It's easy to remember my birthday, 24/7. It's good, isn't it? It's easy to remember. But when I was a kid, the thing that I remember probably the most was the Southsea show. There used to be, I don't know if it wasn't really a festival, there'd be like horses and a bit of a circus and some fair rides going on. That sort of disappeared over the last 10, 15 years, I believe. And obviously Victorious became such a big deal, and the Kite Festival came in and all those sort of things coming on board. So I remember that really well. My dad was brilliant at taking me around local attractions. Being in the Navy, he would take me into the Dockyard, but also Cumberland House, which everyone knows is the Butterfly Museum. Yeah, he'd always take me there. The D-Day story, as it is now, which was then D-Day Museum. So I was quite lucky. I was always taken to like local things. Victoria's swimming baths down there. That's where I learnt to drown. Still can't swim. Pyramids, you know, all those places. I was quite lucky as a kid. My dad would take me to all those places. The fun fair, loved the fun fair. So I was quite fortunate actually. Although as a kid I don't remember that many events, I remember being taken to a lot of local attractions.
Interesting. You said your dad's in the Navy?
Yeah, he was. He's left the Navy a while ago now, but yeah, 27 years I think he served.
Interesting. I mean, how was it? Sorry, yeah, go for it. I mean, how was it growing up with a dad in the Navy?
I don't think I realised just how big a deal that was until I later grown up and become an adult, and I'm incredibly proud of that feat, because anyone to last 5 years in a job is incredible now, let alone that length of tenure. But also because Portsmouth's such a huge city with so much history to do with the military, not just the Royal Navy, it's the home of the Royal Navy. That's a sense of pride. Everyone has some sort of connection to the military base here. So for me, I'm incredibly proud of my dad for doing that, but also I'm incredibly proud to be the son of somebody who's done that and given his, his career, his service to the country and to the city. So I think I probably appreciate it more now as an adult, whereas the kid, it's just like, Dad goes on ships, doesn't he? Whereas now I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So being able to see the Prince of Wales ship coming in, being able to say, I was really lucky my dad took me on the Ark Royal to see these literally historical ships which are no longer around. And then when I see these incredible ships walk past, people just like, oh, I'd love to go see on board one of those. I'll be like, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I mean, would you ever have joined the Navy?
It was there. So when I actually studied public services in college, my intention was to go into the Navy, mainly because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grow up. I'm 35 now. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And it was either that or the fire service. Those were the two things I thought might be options. I fell into hospitality at the age of 17, 18. So I got used to earning a wage. I used to get paid weekly. So I was like, this is great. Like, I don't need to go to the Navy. I could just earn money here. So I fell into hospitality and obviously then was there for 15 years. So from Ashby's, which was the first boutique hotel in Portsmouth, I was there. Then I went to Drift for a little while, which was interesting. The Ibis on Winston Churchill Avenue, and then from there I went to the King's Theatre and then went to Beckett's and then delivered social. So
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, what is a boutique hotel?
A boutique hotel, by definition, is rooms which are different styled. So if you have 7 rooms, technically, to be a boutique hotel, each room needs to be decorated in a different way. It's a different wallpaper, different theme for each room. I don't know if people still actually do that now. I'll probably just call it boutique now. But
Yeah, it's just password.
no one's going to know.
Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, you fell into hospitality. Now, as someone who spent 15 years in hospitality, what is something that you found out that people don't know about?
In hospitality?
Yeah.
Probably just how much you learn and forced to learn because things go wrong. Things don't work properly. You'll have fires in the kitchen. You'll have all sorts going on, and normally the customers won't know. King's Theatre, when I was there, we had floods down staircases, we had fires backstage, we had ice melting on stage. Customers most of the time would never know what's going on, and you had to have the persona, everything's fine, everything's great, give me your money. And then the show must go on, because it does. You can't just stop it because somebody's left their hair straighteners on in the dressing room and it's caused the smoke alarms to go off. The show has to happen, but you have to deal with it. So there's a lot of things I think you learn from a customer service point of view, and also you have to have a lot of patience just working with the public in general, I think. So I think you learn a lot of skills, but because you've got no choice, you either sink or swim in hospitality.
I found out. I had a short stint in hospitality, about 3 odd years ago. But okay, so you went into hospitality, yeah, because obviously you went in through COVID, and you had this big sort of enlightening moment, really, and you've come out and you've gone into social media. Now, how was it transferring from Beckett's to digital marketing?
At first, there was a lot of imposter syndrome. I wouldn't say that I'm usually nervous about things, but I thought, can I actually do this? Because I'd known one thing my whole working career. And then the reason why John actually said he wanted me on board with Deliver Social, he said, well, what you've done for these venues you've worked at, I just want you to do that at Deliver Social and help other businesses achieve the same. So I thought, okay, so he really simplified it and said, this is what I want you to do. So the first year in Portsmouth really was just about making noise. It was about just getting out there and doing as much as I can. Fortunately, because I lived here and worked here, I was quite lucky I had a contact base or network to draw on. But a lot of that network were people like, let's say people who worked in those industries, or they could have been people in events, or they could have been the sort of drinks reps that would come in and try and sell you their drinks, and all those sort of different industries. So when you go from hospitality to marketing, actually, you're open to every industry. So I had to almost switch in terms of my messaging and who do I want to talk to. So it was different. It was difficult first for me to sort of adjust. And also I was used to working from potentially 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. at night. And then when I went from doing 8 till 4:30, I was like, what, I get evenings? Like, what's weekends? You're having a laugh. Bank holiday weekend this week, and I'm just like, Monday off, that's insane. How did I not do that before? So it opened up a lot of things, and also work and life balance. Probably since COVID, I've realised just how important that is to be able to have that balance. And I don't think, for me personally, it was possible to do that in hospitality. I don't know how people do it now, but for me, it was impossible.
I hear that work-life balance. I do hear that. And, yeah, I do hear that. I mean, my question to you, why is it important then? Why is work-life balance important?
Because there is just more things important than working yourself to death. I just don't, it's not worth it. And I realise that now, having done all those hours, and I'm grateful I did it. I don't want to change anything because it's probably got me where I am now. But any advice I give to people is like, look after your health, be there with your family, be present, because when you lose people or whenever something bad happens, you're going to regret those moments where you're like, I wasn't there. I missed those moments. You know, there was times where some Christmas days I wouldn't even see my family because I'd be working that entire Christmas period, which in hospitality is really busy. Theatre, it's panto, so it's hectic December. You're potentially doing 2 or 3 shows per day, 2,000 people per show, and then Christmas Day you're a zombie. So you're trying to be with your family, but you're not there. So it was only until I left I thought actually that was not okay at the time.
I mean, here's one for you. So you said you had the imposter syndrome when you came into the digital marketing world, but after spending 15 years in hospitality, did you feel like an imposter in your own home?
In my own home, maybe. I don't know. That's quite difficult because I think the problem is with marketing is it can change all the time, and you have to adapt all the time. It's not going to be the same, you know, especially with AI now. It can change like that. Tomorrow morning it could be something completely different, or a network could just disappear, like, you know, Trump getting rid of certain networks and then suddenly they reappear, or those things can change. SEO, website design, all of those things can change, so you have to be ready to adapt. Hospitality is exactly the same way. You know, if veganism wasn't a thing when I started my hospitality career, you'd be lucky to have one dish which was vegan, or gluten-free, all that sort of stuff. Whereas now you have to adapt because now those things are here and you have to deal with them. So I think for me there was a certain element, but also there was a stage where actually I thought, well, everyone's in that same boat as me. Although I'm at the start, everyone has to keep up with current trends and what's going on.
Oh, yeah, no, the only reason I asked that was because obviously you don't spend a lot of time at home because of, you know, hospitality. Yeah. And then when you finally do spend time at home, it's like, oh, this is you. You're here. Do you know what I mean? Interesting. Anyway, okay, moving on. So, as you've been in the digital marketing world since 2020?
2021, I think.
2021. So, for someone who arguably is one of the loudest people in Portsmouth now on social media, how was it for you to make noise, and how is it to make noise on social media?
Well, it all started not because I wanted to do it, to be honest, but it was more of a piece because I would have meetings with business people or owners of organisations, or business owners, sorry, and they would all ask, what can I do to amplify presence? I said, well, you have to go out there and be bold and be loud. And I've looked at what I was doing on social media, which wasn't that much. I'd do stuff on LinkedIn because you have to. But I didn't really touch the other networks. I deleted Facebook when I was at the King's Theatre because I used to get people contact me all the time going, can you get any free tickets, mate? And it'd be someone from school I've not spoken to in 15 years. So I got fed up with that, so I just deleted that, bin that off. I only really had Instagram and LinkedIn. So I thought I need to start doing stuff so when people hear the advice I'm giving, they can see, actually, I'm doing it. So I'm doing what I preach. And video was such a huge thing after COVID. TikTok exploded. Instagram Reels came out. Then Facebook did Reels because Instagram and Facebook teamed up. Now LinkedIn has a video feed. YouTube has had a revival. So video was really important. So I thought, well, I have to do video now. I have to get on TikTok and I have to start promoting the services and what we do. So I did that, started doing that, and I was so bored about talking about the business stuff. You could see it, my energy levels talking about some of the business stuff was just incredibly boring. Even I was bored watching it. I thought, I can't do a video a day on these subjects because it needs to be natural. I can't do scripted, as you very well know. And I just thought, okay, you know what? I know what I do out there. I know what I do in the community. I'm just going to shout about that because it's quite easy. I can talk about that all day long, and it can be passionate, it can be real, it can be authentic. And the things I would talk to business owners or organisations is you need to be authentic on social media. Don't just post for the sake of it, and think of your why. Why are you posting? What do you want to be seen for? What do you want to get out of it? Rather than I want 1 million views. Okay, well, what you can do with those 1 million views? Don't know. I just want to be seen. Well, that's not going to bring your business in, is it? There needs to be a purpose behind what you're trying to achieve. So that's why I did it. It was a bit of I need to prove the point. I think I've done that now. But yeah, that's how it started. So it was never me going, I need to build myself up, I need to build a brand. It was never anything about that. It just happened quite organically, which is quite helpful.
Interesting. So going through that, I mean, because you did it on a personal brand as well, really. So how has it been then, balancing the professional with the personal now?
Impossible, because people will contact me on personal networks for work with Delivered Social as well. So it's really impossible to sort of, the lines do get blurred. And there's times where I have to speak to John saying, look, this is what's come in, or this is how it's come in. They've either come through my personal Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, but actually they need the service Delivered Social. So, being COO of the organisation, luckily I'm in that position where I can sort of say, this is how we're going to do it. But then equally, I'll get people contacting me personally saying, look, can you do this for us? Can you come to the restaurant? Can you come to the cafe? Can you promote this? Can you do that? So there'll be stuff where it's like, yep, that's Delivered Social, or yeah, this is in the evening, this is on the weekend, so it's my time. So it was difficult at first, but actually now it's still hard to deal with all those messages. But I try to find a way of going, which way does it go? Is it Terence or is it Delivered Social?
Yeah, because that's interesting, because blurring the lines is one thing, but then what are you more drawn to then? I mean, I know this is your job, but what are you more passionate about?
The community stuff. That's my why. The reason I do what I do on socials is because I want to promote the city. I want Portsmouth to do better. The better Portsmouth does, the better it is for all of us. The better Portsmouth does, the better it is for Delivered Social. So that's my why. That's in my heart. I'm born and bred here. That'll always be the case. There will be one day when I will leave Delivered Social, or Delivered Social get rid of me. I don't know. But the Portsmouth ambassador, the passion for the city, that won't stop, because that is who I am. That's my why. That's why I want to do it. I want to inspire other people to be able to go out there and make content and show off the city. So then when I do see stuff on social media, people telling me, there's nothing to do in Pompey. Yes, there is. Open your eyes, look outside. There is so much to do.
There is so much to do. I don't know. I think I lived here since. When have I lived here since? 2015. I've lived here since. So not that long, but 10 years. And I'd say when I first joined, I didn't have a clue because I wasn't from here.
Yeah.
But now that I've been here for 10 years, it might be because of the show as well. I don't know. But now I know that there's a lot happening. A lot of different people are passionate, and there's so much to get stuck in with. Okay, cool. So. But how then? Okay, so you just said there that being your authentic self on social media. But what if you're just a boring person? What would you say?
Everyone has a hobby. Everyone has something they want to talk about. There are people on TikTok blowing up and they're building Lego, just live. People have those interests that you have. John's biggest passion is Star Trek. He'll have loads of Star Trek people messaging him and asking him questions. I have no idea about that subject, so it's not something I would personally follow. I'll engage, give it a like to help him out. But people might say, well, no one's going to be interested in what I talk about. But one, if it's a career that you have and it's a job, well, you must have started that organisation because the service you offer are needed by somebody, right? If it's a hobby that you do, whether it's content creation or you're an accountant or whatever it is, people will have the need or want to know what you do. The more authentic you are, the easier it is to build that trust. So before you cold email or contact somebody saying, would you like to speak to me about, paying me for different services and this and that? If they've already seen you, or they already say, oh yeah, I've seen your LinkedIn profile, really love the stuff you're doing, that barrier is just knocked down. You've got that trust established. And everything now, especially digitally, people need to know who they're speaking to and if they're the real deal. So I feel like if people see that authentic side, they know exactly who they're walking in the room with and who they're potentially going to work with.
Yeah, that makes sense. What is the one thing that, after dealing with all different clients, looking at their digital marketing, social media packages, that they don't address?
Sometimes it's just getting engaged with it themselves. It's not enough just to say, go handle my social media. The amount of clients that we've worked with in the past who don't even follow their own pages. Like, why would you expect anybody else to if you don't even engage with the content, or you don't even share it, or you don't even leave a comment, or you don't do anything with it? And that's the heartbreaking thing, because they want to do well. It's like, okay, well, why aren't you engaging with it then? Why aren't you pushing it yourself? Because we can only do so much. We can create these bits. Video content is the best way, because the best person to talk about that organisation or about the products they sell is that person from that organisation, because I can't sell it for them because I don't know that product inside out like they do. They've got a passion for that product or for that service. They're the best person to sell it. And video, I think, probably gives that authenticity straight away. They can just sell it without it seeming scripted.
So that's delivered social. So you're a Portsmouth ambassador as well. What is that?
So that is volunteering within community projects. So that is things like the cruise passenger programme, that is like the bucket collections at Fratton Park, and that is purely walking around the city. And if people need assistance of where to get somewhere, it's talking positively about the city and showing them where to go. The amount of times I get when I'm walking around there, you get tourists who are lost and they say, oh, how do I get to that pub over there, Bridge Tavern? How do I get to Southsea Seafront from Gunwharf? And it is a little bit complicated because you have to go round and then around. But simple things like, well, actually, if you follow this trail here, the chain trail, if you follow it all the way around, it will take you to the Millennium Bridge, which is over there, and it will take you to Southsea. Or vice versa. You know, if you follow it this way, it will take you to the dockyard. I believe they're getting rid of some of the routes during the sea defence route, which is a shame. But it's using stuff like that, or seeing if people are having issues with certain things, or they're looking for something to do. It's being able to have that positive influence to say, go do this, or this is how you get here, and talking up the city. Because I feel like, particularly nowadays, people are very quick to talk negatively about certain things. Whereas if we're all just talking negatively about something, all you're doing is just derailing morale, and you're just putting the place down. Portsmouth is doing really, really well. You know, it's flying in terms of what we do. We're so lucky we have so many events. There are places in the UK which don't. So, and we have so much history here. So there is stuff going on. And as Portsmouth ambassadors and the people that are involved, some of them are retired, some of them are students. Shaping Portsmouth also later looking down the line of youth ambassadors as well, which would be really exciting, because if the kids are inspired and talk about how positive the city is, that's great, because they'll grow up to become, you know, appreciative of what we got, but also selling the place. And that's the most important thing. If everyone's selling Portsmouth, the more money that comes into Portsmouth, the more improvements we can see in the city.
Interesting. So something I picked up on there is there's a lot of positive going on. But as much as there is positive, we all see it in the news right now, there is a lot of negative. There are a lot of, racist protests and all of this stuff. Now, does being a Portsmouth ambassador include also advocating for like anti-racist movements or being an activist? How does that fit in?
It's interesting because I don't think as Portsmouth ambassadors in that field we've come across that. I don't know if Shaping have come across anything like that, but from a personal point of view, I've experienced racism. And I will talk out about it if people are giving me abuse, or if a family member's getting abuse, or my missus, she's white, she'll get messages sent to her, she'll get DMs sent to her saying, you are a race traitor, all this sort of stuff. That stuff annoys me. If I'm getting it, it's a bit like, okay, fine, whatever. With that following I've got, I am going to get the odd negative comment, that's fine. But when it starts, your partner starts getting messages like that, and she's had some horrific messages sent to her because she's with me. That's not okay. So sometimes I feel like I need to be that voice, because there's some people who feel like they don't want to speak up because they're scared about the reaction they get. I don't really care about the reaction I get. If I'm standing up for some racist person who's saying something which is just not right at all, that's justified in my opinion. I don't need to be told you should just ignore it. I don't need to just ignore it, because you have no idea what it's like to have those messages come out all the time. I don't endorse any political companies or any protests in the same vein. I tend to steer away from them because I think from being in the position I'm in, it only takes, and you see certain councillors will tar other people with a random brush which has no existence of anything, or spread lies. I've had stuff on me online about saying that I endorse certain things, which I don't, and I've never heard of these organisations sometimes. So for me to be in those arenas or being around those, I just think actually sometimes I will not make a difference being there. When there's 1,000 people protesting, me being there just almost makes it worse.
Fair enough. I mean, on that then, so you said you grew up in the 90s. I heard, I think it's true, I heard before that Portsmouth was like the home, or the EDL had a base here in Portsmouth. That's what I heard. I don't know. Yeah. But growing up in the 90s, in comparison to now, how would you say the shift in attitude towards different races has changed?
Really good question, because I would say over the last 18 months I've had more racism pushed towards me than I have my entire life, which is really scary, because I never really experienced it before. But equally, I didn't have social media in the 90s, so there could be some of that. There could be that amplification, but also I think because of social media and the bad areas of social media, where so much misinformation is just spread, people believe it, they share it, they're almost brainwashed to believe that this is what you think. At the moment, people are putting flags outside their houses, not because they're proud of the city or proud of the country. They're doing it because they want to make some sort of point. That's not why you're putting the flag. If you think about your why are you actually putting it up? Are you trying to aim it towards a certain agenda, or are you proud? Which one is it? Because there's a reason why you're doing it. So it's a really tough one to answer, because I've seen it get worse over the last 18 months. But that being said, there's so many people in the city who I believe the light will shine through the dark, and I hope that next year when the elections come out, it will show in that way, because there's too much good going on to ruin it. But you have also got European countries starting to go more right-wing as well, which is scary.
It is scary. It is. Yeah, we were talking about that on an episode that went live this week, and it was talking about like mistrust in the government and how that has a negative effect on the right wing, and
the anger is misguided. The anger is misdirected as well, because people are angry with the government, but because they feel like they can't just go shout at the government, they're aiming at people that are defenceless, essentially, or the next person to blame. And you can't even argue with some of these people. It's horrible.
It is. Well, yeah, like yourself, I do hope that it does take a positive turn. And
I think it will. I think there's enough people in the city who have got voices, who are doing incredible stuff, who will get involved in a political sense and try and stop that tide from turning. Because Portsmouth has always been a city of culture, a city of diversity, and the military is here. We have provided so much to the entire world and the entire country. I was at the Mary Rose yesterday. There was people on the Mary Rose here. The Mary Rose was built here, it sank here, it was raised here. There were people and skeletons on that ship who were not white as well. And guess what? They weren't slaves. There was actual inclusivity in those days as well. So that was in the 1500s. So there has to be a point where we look at everyone who's contributed. World wars, there's been Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, people from the Caribbean, Africans, who've all contributed to England winning the war. There has been that contribution. It's not just white British, and that's the most important thing to remember.
So that's what's happening in Portsmouth currently. Portsmouth's on the rise. Portsmouth's on the increase. But where would you like to see it in 5 years?
Oh, that is tough. First, I'd like, what is going on right now with these protests and the right wing, that just hopefully will fizzle out and completely gone. And I think what I would love to see is, and I think it would have been great when I was at school, and I would love to see it part of the curriculum, but I know it's probably impossible to do. When you go to school in Portsmouth, I think you should have to learn about the city. You should, as a school, you should be taking them to the Mary Rose, you should be taking them to the Dockyard, you should be taking them to the King's Theatre, the new Theatre Royal, or going to some charity organisation in the city that are doing good stuff to showcase when you grow up, you can work at anywhere you want to work within the city. Show them the purpose and why you should volunteer as well. I've done some school talks recently, and kids always ask, why do you volunteer? Why do you do things for free? And they're really surprised when you tell them, oh, okay, what do you mean it's rewarding? It feels good to do stuff for free sometimes, Don't do it too often, because, you'll have no money. But I would love that to become a thing in schools, where they learn about the city that they're in, be proud of where they're in, so when they grow up and go older, they're spreading that message as well. That's what I'd love to see. But I think you probably have to go to government for that, so it probably won't happen.
That is interesting. Especially with this, there's a thing happening now. It's like devolution or something like that. We're getting like a county mayor. You might know more about it than me. Or...
I get it, but I don't know the full ramifications of it. I just know, there will be a mixture of councils all now into one, which is good for the other councils, but not so good for Portsmouth, because we're the only one which has actually got money in the pot. The rest we're going to inherit that debt. So that's quite scary. But actually, even that episode with Steve, what he said, actually civics should be taught in school. I think again that's really important because I learned so much as an adult watching that. So if you're teaching kids, actually, this is what it means when you vote. This is what it means to have a national party. This is what it's like to have a local. I think those bits are really important because actually you should be able to learn what your vote will mean at an early age, because you can't just learn that, or potentially, depending on the household you're in or the groups of people you're in, you could be brainwashed to think a completely different way. Whereas if you're taught in a non-biased way to say this is how democracy works, this is how people get voted in, I think that's quite important. I love what Steve said about how council money is used.
Yeah.
And he used the perfect example of going, and I pay my council tax bill and this isn't sorted or this isn't sorted, and him being able to say, well, actually your council tax pays for this, not this. This is somewhere else. That's really important. Portsmouth water and Southern water, the other things which are really people get really confused about, because Portsmouth water get a really bad name because they're like, you're dumping sewage in the sea. It's not them. It's Southern water. Yeah, it's that educational piece.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reason I asked that really was on the back end of the sort of Portsmouth ambassador thing. I thought, being a signpost, you'd be educated on that. But when I remember Steve when he was saying about all of that, interesting. But on that, they should teach civics in school. It's
really important. I went to, I was invited to a meeting that Portsmouth Hive put on at the Guildhall, and it was 2 or 3 government officials who'd put on, it was like a forum for the devolution. And I thought, okay, that'd be interesting because I can ask questions. And they literally said, we can't answer any questions. So I said, well, where the hell have I gone? They gave you a booklet which is printed from the government website. I was like, I get the mechanics, but actually I've got some questions about certain things. And they said, how do you feel about this potentially happening? And the problem is, it is already happening. So my voice makes no difference. You want suggestions of things, but we know this is happening anyway. So it's not really a forum. And you can't answer any questions because you're saying it's up to the local authority, but you guys are from the government. So I guess we'll find out once it's done and once we have the Lord Mayor of the Solent, or whatever it's going to be, next May, I think. May 2026, which is weird because we're going through a devolution where Portsmouth is going to celebrate 100 years, which is so weird. But there we go.
Will it be a celebration?
I think there's going to be a lot of celebrations next year, regardless what's going on. It's a city to celebrate. There's so much going on here. I think the theme is literature, which is really interesting. One of my previous roles was a board trustee of a children's charity called the Literacy Hubs, because Portsmouth's in the top 10% of the worst literacy levels in the country. So actually to have a theme of literature is amazing, to be pushing literacy. We'd always have the book awards at the King's Theatre. That was something which was always really well attended, and I saw recently that Gen Z have started picking up books again, which is crazy because everyone at the moment feels like they're just doing this. So it's great people are going back into books and to reading, because it is a very important life skill.
It's massive, if not one of the most important.
Agreed.
Gosh. Yeah, they still run the book awards. I know Lisa Howard, I think their name is. Yeah, bless her. Portsmouth City Schools Library Service.
Portsmouth Library Service, yeah. Brilliant.
That's the one. Yeah, good people's. Interesting. So, I always find it a bit of a tangent, but not. I find it fascinating that Portsmouth isn't the lowest, percent of those who can read, but Charles Dickens was, from here, and there's a whole area.
Charles Dickens, H.G. Wells, who wrote War of the Worlds, people forget about.
Really?
What was his name? Arthur Conan Doyle lived here for a while, who wrote Sherlock Holmes. He lived on Elm Grove for a time of his life, so there was controversy whether he actually wrote the book here or not, but there is a couple of books he apparently wrote here. But there is so many, but I think because Portsmouth has always been a very traditional working class city, where mum and dad would go straight into the Navy, or dad would go into the Navy, mum would work from home, and there would be a very low income. It was always, it's fine, you'll just go into the Navy back in the 50s and 60s, whereas now it's, that is slowly getting less and less. There's less people now just going, we have a choice now, we don't just need to go into the forces, we could do much more. And then, the wards that I know you work with Bond, you will see those wars within the city, and Charles Dickens is probably one of the worst, I think, in the city. And it's not just kids who don't want to read, they really want to. And that was the heartbreaking thing during COVID. The literacy hubs, we obviously went online like schools did, which was probably the most traumatic things you could do for kids, is taking them out of their social environment, because that's the best bit of school. We weren't just struggling to be able to deliver those services. Actually, some of our kids didn't have Wi-Fi at home, didn't have laptops, didn't have iPads, so we had to try and find resources to be able to enable reading again. So it almost it shocks you, because you don't expect it. Water and Wi-Fi are almost like the most important things now. So it's scary. But I think the more people that can help and do stuff to advocate, and hopefully they'll use the theme of literacy next year to really push that and make it big, because it is the most important skill.
Massive. Kind of on that, so a bit of a tangent now. So you say it's always been traditionally working class, but recently we've seen sort of a shift. Do you think that there's loads of small businesses in Portsmouth?
Yeah.
But do you see them ever increasing, or do you see them, some becoming monopolies and them being bigger businesses? How do you see it?
I think there's a bit of a mixture. I think whenever there is a bit of a monopoly, everybody knows that person who's playing Monopoly. It's always interesting in Portsmouth. But in 2019, just before COVID, Portsmouth was the second most entrepreneurial city in the UK. So Portsmouth's really, really good at starting businesses. The thing that it's not really been good at is holding on to them. Equally, I would probably say the rest of the UK is probably around there, but I can't remember what the exact stats were, but it was pretty bad. The opening 2 years were basically, you're going to open, but 2 years is going to be really tough to go any further. What's made it tougher now, business rates are more expensive, wages have gone up, employee contributions for national insurance gone up, so it is harder. But I feel like you're always going to have people opening things up. You're always going to have Portsmouth people with that pride going, I can do this and I will do it, because Portsmouth people do have a fighting spirit. They will make it work. And hopefully they'll come to social clinics here, learn more about marketing, and be able to then do it properly and not have their business closed down.
Yeah, fair enough. I heard a stat the other day. It was like, I can't remember the stat, can't remember the figure, but certain percentage of businesses fail after the first 5 years.
Yeah.
But then those who do get past the 5, apparently it's like 97% of businesses don't make it past year 10.
Okay.
And I was like, interested. And that was from someone who is a business person. Episode isn't out yet, coming soon. But yeah, that was a shocking fact.
I mean, now if somebody says you're celebrating 5 years, it's an incredible feat now. It really is. And I think even for the charities that we have in the city, because there's so many, which showcases the need in a city like Portsmouth, but also they're all doing so many incredible things, and their funding pots are getting lower and lower and lower. And they are servicing some of the poorest families in the city. So they're so important to keep running.
Big time. I mean, just on that as well, I think because of the devolution, because of the great things that the charities are doing, if the funding pot is getting smaller and smaller, I fear what will happen once that devolution happens, given that we'll take on other cities' debts and stuff like that.
It's scary. I think the one thing I would say about charities over business, I think charities have much more resilience in their staff and their people, because they care so much. You're never going to meet people who are more passionate than people who work in charities, because they will make those things happen. There is never going to be a kid without food or without a book if they need that resource, and somebody works for a charity who can make it happen. People make it happen. They will work so many hours. They are not traditional 40 hours a week people. People work in charities, they will do so much. They will go above and beyond to make sure families and any organisations are supported in that way. So they will be stretched, but honestly, charities are already stretched now, so they're not going to know any different. They'll just be like, okay, we're going to serve more kids in more communities, and we're going to do it.
Hell yeah. So that is where we are. So for you, what are we to expect next?
To be honest, since COVID, I'm like, just take each day as a time now. I don't think you can plan that far ahead. For me, my why is to promote the city. That will always be it, and Delivered Social will be the mechanism to be able to say, look, I can support those business side things as well. But for me, it's about pushing the city as much as I can. I believe the city will just keep improving, and if I can help along the way, I'll just keep doing what I can. Hopefully when I'm eventually retire or dead and buried, not be nice in the gravestone, Portsmouth Ambassador. That's what you want.
Fair enough.
Or a statue. Set off a statue.
Whereabouts?
Just get rid of Spinnaker, put me on. Just Massive.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be really happy spinning to that. No. Yeah, where'd I put it? I don't know, actually.
Commercial Road on the fountain?
Maybe on top of the fountain, and it's just me holding a bottle of bubble bath, just like that. We do that.
That'd be cool. That would be cool.
Do well.
Yeah.
Tourist attraction right there.
Well, cool. Well, Terence, that brings us to a lovely end on this part, and it's been great hearing a bit about you and hearing why and what you're doing. So passionate about the city. Refreshing.
Thank you so much. Real pleasure to be part of the show.
My pleasure. But yeah, cool. So we'll put a pin in it there, and we'll jump into part 2.
Okay.
All right.
Scary, that part 2.
Alright, we are rolling. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Cool. I do need a clapperboard. I do. They're not really cheap. I'm just like, I use my hands. Okay, great. So, Terence, welcome to part 2.
I'm scared.
Well, no, it's a conversation starter, and you've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
So, cool. Welcome to part 2 of the show, where we don't even shine light here. So we go out into the street and we ask a question.
I love this bit.
And yeah,
not for many.
And yeah, as you know, you have no clue what the question is. So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to crack on. But if you want to pause it, feel free to pause it. If you want to watch it through to the end, feel free to watch it to the end. And then yeah, let's go for it.
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
What is your least favourite thing about Portsmouth?
I don't want to say it out loud, but I think the amount of fast food shops and vape shops around.
Okay.
I think, or like, I guess there's just a lot of like space that could be used in more exciting ways rather than just for fast food.
What's your least favourite part about Portsmouth?
When it's grey.
Yeah. No, I'm actually trying to think of this.
I honestly would say when it's grey. I feel like when it's sunny, it's stunning, but
When
if
it's
it's grey, it's a
rainy.
bit depressing, isn't it?
They could
Okay.
do with a few more bars and nightclubs, I think. Interesting.
Probably not being able to get the train on time sometimes when the trains are delayed.
What do you like least about Portsmouth?
What do I like least about Portsmouth? Quite crowded.
What's your least favourite thing about Portsmouth?
Too many drug addicts. Like, just down there, I see someone holding a cup of tea with a Union Jack. Like, what's going on with that? But other than that, it's a nice city. There's some good people. Education is good as well, so can't really complain too much.
Okay. Just the weather.
Yeah, and the wind.
Yeah, the
Weather and wind. So what's your least favourite thing about Portsmouth?
Probably how dirty the buildings are and how messy it is all the time. Yeah, this doesn't look very nice at the moment.
Alright, so that was the question. What are your
I
thoughts?
don't know where to start. Alright, first of all, we need to find the woman who said we need more bars. Portsmouth has the most pubs per square mile outside of London. So what are you chatting about? Like, honestly, God, ridiculous. But yeah, that's a fact. So yeah, I'm not having that. The rest, yeah, that's the most important one. The pubs, I think. No, that is no. That's all our local independent pubs. Come on. But yeah, the rest. Weather, yeah, I get that. To be fair, I'm quite depressed in the winter as it is. I like the sunshine. And I agree. Portsmouth comes alive when the sun is out.
Big time.
Get that. It's quite interesting what the First Lady said as well, actually, about fast food shops. She's got a point. There is a lot of fast food. A lot of vape shops have popped up over the last 18 months.
There's many.
So I agree with that. But I think that's probably a whole UK thing rather than just Portsmouth, to be fair. The drug addict comment was interesting, but again, you're at the part in Guildhall where you do have those wards and you do have, I think there's rehab housing there as well, so unfortunately you are going to see those parts. But yeah, actually quite valid points. Apart from like not enough bars, like what didn't I want? Absolutely, like find me that person's details. I'm not having that. Absolute squin.
Interesting. I mean, so in your opinion, what is your least favourite part about Portsmouth?
So it's interesting because I was walking around Victorious last year and I was asking people the same question.
Interesting.
And the things that came up, parking, every single time came up parking. I would argue if you live south of the city, you don't even need a car. So you're quite lucky in that sense. Parking was always one. The sewage in the sea, not Portsmouth water, okay, southern water. Interesting what the guy said about it being quite overcrowded. Portsmouth is, or it was, I remember when I was growing up, this is something I was told, we're one of the most densely populated cities in Europe. So that probably has got even worse. So I agree there is a lot, but again, it's the same problem in the whole UK. And what was the other thing people asked for? In fact, there was 2 young girls who said actually they didn't like the litter. And I think actually Southsea Common, when we do have people enjoying themselves and having barbecues, there is a lot of litter left behind. So I would probably agree with the people that brought those things up. They are the biggest things. And I think for me, the negative, there's not enough people shouting about how great things are.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I hear that. I do hear that. I mean, one thing that I've seen is, again, that rubbish piece. That there is a lot of rubbish when you walk through the streets. There is just... And I've even watched people like just throw stuff on the floor.
Yeah, and I think that's about education. But I think kids now at school are learning about why it's important to look after the environment, all this stuff. We weren't really at school. For some reason we had like pet stick insects. Like, look after these. I don't really know how. Or others now they are learning about, the whole ban on paper straws, all that sort of stuff was coming in. So that's really important. But I think education is, do you know what happens about this? There's no real excuse for it. There are plenty of bins around. Other than Southsea when it gets so busy and there's so many people down there. But things like Victorious, there's bins everywhere. Yeah. There's no excuse to just throw it on the floor. There are really good organisations which do beach cleans as well. So there is people doing stuff, but you're always going to have a minority of people ruining it for everyone, unfortunately. But the more cleaner and the more nice we can keep it, it's better for everyone. We all live here, so we have to, look after it for ourselves.
I agree.
Be selfish. Just look after it for yourself. You're not going to look after it for somebody else.
It's true. It is true. I mean, so what are your thoughts then on the cleanliness of the sea?
It's not good because we're a sea. We're on the coast. Yeah. We are the best coastal city in the UK. We have to have clean water. People bathe in there all the time. It's so important that we have clean water. And it puts me off when I see people swimming in it. I'm just like, oh no. But then even the educational pieces, I think it was Final Straw Foundation and Port City Council putting the signs up and saying this is a safe area to bathe. That's great. But I also think actually that tells people there are areas which there isn't places that you should swim. So just be careful on that. But I mean, how do you change it? True. I don't know. I wish I had the answers. But yeah, it's a shame because it's so important. So important that it's clean and lovely. I remember actually during COVID seeing images of what Venice looked like during COVID when nobody was there, no tourists. The water was stunning. And I was quite lucky I went out there a few months after sort of COVID had ended and it was still really nice. But I've had friends go back since and saying, yeah, that same sewage smell is back now because there's more people in the city, tourists and people just throwing stuff they shouldn't be into the water.
Yeah, no, I agree. I hear you there. So I remember you saying in the long form that you can't swim.
Yeah, no.
But did you ever dip your toes in the water?
I love going in the water. That's the problem. Nothing happens. So I can swim. If you tell me to go swim from one end to the other, I can do it. I can't float. So it's just stand there and just float. It doesn't work. I tried at Victoria swimming bars. My granddad used to take me. I used to go to the pyramids all the time. I was going down the slide. I'd always get involved. Always like going in the water. Even on holiday, I love going in the sea. But I don't know. It just doesn't work. My favourite film growing up was Little Mermaid as well. And it still didn't inspire me to properly learn to swim. But yeah, no.
You don't dip your toes in
the water? I should as well. It's bad living in a city which I don't actually go in that water, and I don't think I ever will. But yeah, abroad, anywhere else, I always want to go in the water. If I'm at a spa, I'm always in the water. So it's weird. Yeah. I'm like that kid who's just like, yeah, I'm going to jump in there and then just drown. It's not good. But that's another very important life skill. Everyone should know how to swim.
Yeah, especially Portsmouth's an island, I heard. So Island City.
Yeah, very important.
That's intriguing. Because I'd say, in my opinion, the worst part about Portsmouth is the sea. Because I live on a seaside town, but I don't swim because I've seen on the news, I've seen on the drone footage that they had of them pumping sewage in there, and I've heard people equally say that it's safe, do it. If I guess that say it's safe and do it, each their own. But I'm still not stepping foot in the water.
I'm like, I don't think it's ever warm enough either to do that. I'm just like, no. Summer is beautiful in Portsmouth, but I don't think I've ever been so hot where I think I'm going to go in there and then when I come out, I won't be freezing. But there's people that do it on New Year's Day. It's a tradition that a lot of Portsmouth families, on New Year's Day, they go out and have a dip. So if you're ever walking around on New Year's Day and you're just walking down the seafront, you'll see people just doing it as a family.
Yeah.
I don't know why, weirdos. No, not for me.
That's funny. I mean, what else is? I mean, yeah, it is densely populated, and the parking situation is abysmal.
It's impossible. You can't do anything about it. Unless you get more people using public transport and being greener and sharing cars, it isn't going to get much better. And then you've also got HMOs, student housing, where you could potentially have 5 or 6 people per house if they all each have a car. So the whole of the UK is going to have an issue with that going forward. But actually, for us, we just haven't got the infrastructure for it. You know, you've got one road in, one road out.
Yeah.
It's really tough. I mean, if Portsmouth are playing at home, there's no point even moving your car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know yourself other than getting more people on public transport, and I don't think that's probably going to happen. You do have a lot of cyclists in the city, though.
You do. It's not like Amsterdam. It's not
No,
like,
no, and I don't think you'll ever make it into that. You have a lot of self-employed people who need vans. They need actual cars or company vehicles to do the stuff they do. So you're never going to stop it completely.
Is the answer more car parks? I get the whole move to a greener city, but let's be realistic. Is it more car parks?
I don't know where you'd put them. Yeah. That's the problem. And there's always been this talk about making Fratton Park even bigger, which would be great. And yes, you would fill it because there's such demand for it. But all you're going to be adding is more congestion to the city.
Big time.
Unless you move the stadium, which nobody wants to happen. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Interesting. They're trying to make the Fratton. They want to make Fratton Park bigger, or
that's always been a story. There's been, I mean, if you go look at Google, there's been stories of how the stadium would be out there on the water. There's stories where it would be, where the old Greyhound Stadium would be. Moving it outside of Portsmouth was obviously a big no. Yeah. So you can't really. We're quite screwed with how it is set up. It's just the way we are. But I don't know how you could fix it.
Fascinating.
So you got the football club and you have got Gunwolf Keys bringing in people. So how do you? What do you do?
Yeah.
You can only build up.
Yeah, trust. Oh, God. So, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, just on the question then, I didn't actually know that you asked that last year. I found that quite interesting as well. That's just by chance.
I asked people what they loved about the city and what they would improve.
Wow.
And yeah, parking and sewage were the main things. Litter. Some people were just like, I want an IKEA. I want a Zara. Really random. They just wanted some certain shops. But yeah, they were the main things.
Back in the day, I used to want a Zara. I'm not gonna lie. Back in the day, I'd be like, why is not a Zara? Okay, interesting. Any final thoughts on the video?
I'm still fuming about the girl who says we need more bars. There's so many. There is some incredible maps you can buy online, which a lot of creators have done, where you literally have the network rail map, which shows all the underground. Somebody's done like the Portsmouth pub versions of that.
No way.
It's literally hundreds. Yeah. Oh, there's so many, so I'm just like, it's bad. I'm fuming with the question about a pub, innit? But it is. It's so. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Fuming.
Educate that woman.
Support your local pubs. There's only about 392.
Wow. Terence, that brings us to nice clothes.
Nice clothes, isn't it?
That's great. I mean, yeah, no, any final words?
No, interesting. Actually, it's always good speaking to the public, because I feel like asking politicians or people that all have their own agenda when asking those questions, but asking the real people, they'll all have different answers, and it is interesting asking the public. That's why I love your videos, because it's real. It's not scripted. You're getting real, true reactions, and sometimes it is just knowing the fact that there are more pubs here than anywhere else in this. is, you know, sometimes it's just education. Unless people are told, then they won't know. Well, now this woman will never forget. I really hope she sees this video. I'm fuming.
Well, no, that's great, man. And yeah, it's been great today. I really have enjoyed it.
I've loved it. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens next.
I think we need more pubs.
Pleasure, mate. Nice one.